Previously on Project Eden's Garden, Wheel of Fate. Wolfgang turned up monocrow, and the final place was the shore, including the final motive, which 2 need to die and 7 people who get to leave. Toshiko's disappearance got a scary twist and made a possible conclusion that Toshiko committed suicide. But that leads to Ulysses finding a key that leads to the masterminds that Toshiko left behind. Time to find the 2 masterminds. Let the curtains rise for the grand finale. Chapter 6. Project Eden's Garden. The final day. Day 26. Everyone met with Ulysses at the elevator. Ulysses and Winona are holding a lot of stuff and keys to the masterminds. Everyone took the elevator to the trial room. They looked at everyone's podiums. John, Mark, Ingrid, Damien, Diana, Grace, Damon, Molly, Kai, Eloise, Cassidy. Wait, what? There was a door behind the throne that Monocro used to sit on. That door opened wide. There was a silhouette near the entrance. From the light, it was Toshiko. Desmond and Carol immediately hugged her. Toshiko never really died. In the trial, Toshiko explained everything. Earlier, Toshiko was the one who wrote the motive note. Ever since Monocro was destroyed by Wolfgang, Toshiko needed some time. After all, this is only the first time this game happened. Toshiko explains that the deceased people before them, she found out there was a previous victims of a beta test game. A test so that the game could be ready, which is this one. A killing game test. She explains that the 2 masterminds had a few survivors. 2 of them were Toshiko's sister, and the other one was, well, no longer with anymore from the previous trial. And that's right, it was Molly. She was a previous survivor from the beta test game. Technically, she was a mole for the 2 masterminds. The rest of the survivors returned home. Ulysses and Winona showed the stuff that Toshiko left behind. Toshiko explains that looking through the files near the campsite, she explains more why her sister was disappeared. More importantly, Toshiko says she faked her own death so that way she can gain time to get information about the island, the game, and the masterminds. She hid herself near the rocks so that Desmond and Carl or anyone didn't find her. And during the false trial, she gained the information. Not to mention, Toshiko found out that Cassidy didn't actually kill Kai. One of the masterminds did. So technically, Cassidy thought she killed Kai, but it turns out that she didn't commit a crime and got executed for something that she believed did. To get more clues, Ulysses asked Toshiko about the masterminds. Toshiko kind of knew that her drawings were kind of have room for improvement, but she explains that in one of her sentences, A Stormy Night was actually a movie about 2 animals, one named Gabu, a carnivore, and the other named May, a herbivore. Then Ulysses began to piece the puzzles together. Molly was wearing a panther mask, so she basically revealed herself as the mole out in the open, and none of them knew. Toshiko explains that Gabu means chomping, biting, and gulping down food. May means baha, which is bawing. What kind of animal would say that? And that was the answer. 2 masterminds. From being antagonistic, protected by Molly, recruited Ava, and then getting the necklace, probably to hide the fact to avoid the clues. And the guy who was friends with Mark killed Eloise and Kai, being distant and recruited by Tozu, without any second thought. It's them. Gabu is a wolf, May is a goat. Jed Johnson and Tozu, or should I say, Theodore Xander, You two are the ones behind the game. With a cloud of smoke, they took off their mask. They changed their appearance. And it was true. Jet and Theodore were the masterminds behind the game. Cassidy was telling the truth. Molly was telling the truth. Toshiko told the truth. Theodore laughed. It was hilarious to use a movie to identify him and Jet. But nonetheless, Tozu began to discuss the game. Which, first off, yes, there was a test that had 12 people. There are only 4 survivors, which 2 of them were Molly and Toshiko's sister. And then this game happened. Ever since the beta test game was a success, they brought back Molly as a mole to help them in case if one of them dies. However, he wasn't expecting that Grace and Damon would be able to be killed by Molly. After all, Grace made a move on Ava and Molly. But rules are rules. Not to mention, there's supposed to be 4 trials. And Monaco was supposed to make those who are still alive, which is right now, get to leave at midnight. But thanks to Wolfgang and Toshiko, they just ruined their chances of leaving the island. But then again, they weren't expecting the intelligence of Toshiko Kaiyara. Well, that explains the game, and the beta, but that doesn't explain why. The reason came from Jet. Jet explains the little boy was his little brother, who died in the hands of Eden's Garden Academy. His brother died from a fire that not just a few students has caused, but the staff and faculty enabled. Jet didn't want the money when he sued them. He wanted Eden's Garden Academy to be shut down forever. He'll never forgive everything and anything that everyone has done. He hated everyone from Eden's Garden Academy so much, he wanted everyone, including the ones who are innocent, get the taste of what Jet felt. Even he thought Mark was different from the others, but ever since Mark and John worked together to give everyone a free pass, Mark was technically dead to Jet. Theodore explains that he was a victim of toxic bullying, framing, and influence by the staff. All he ever wanted to be was a star, since he's the ultimate actor. But people see him as a joke, use him as their trophy or punching bag. No matter how Theodore tried, the violence and mistreatment he received was strong. Which is true. Eden's Garden Academy has never been a safe or good place to begin with, even though their intelligence, school records, and academics were very high. The unnecessary campaign of Theodore Xander will never be famous, which got the principal's attention to expel Theodore. How messed up is this school? Theodore wanted everyone in the academy to pay. That's what he meant Jet. Him and Jet teamed up. Jet likes games. Theodore likes drama and distrust, which this game was created by them. And that's their motivation. But that doesn't matter, right? Theodore lent out a proposal. He lent out his hand towards Ulysses, asking him to join him and Jet. He promised that Ulysses and the others would show the harsh reality to the whole world about what Eden's Garden Academy did, and that they'll be heroes. Jet promised that everyone will go home without consequences, and his justice for his little brother. They don't need to deal with the harsh reality, and don't need to refill their lives with the reality anymore. But Ulysses declined. He'd rather face whatever reality comes at him, even if it meant right now. Because what Theodore and Jet shown was despair and expectations, telling him to give into those expectations. Theodore and Jet asked everyone, and they'd rather choose reality over expectations. Ava said that she'd rather turn herself to the police than this. Wolfgang would rather follow his own morals. Desmond rather stop those who are evil all by himself. Kara rather help those who are in need without any desperate measures. Toshiko rather be with her sister and go against Jet and Tozu. And Winona rather have to deal with the downfall in her business. Everyone would rather choose reality over expectations. Which they won the battle. After the trial was over, this really hurt Jet. He thought everyone would help him and understand him. But now he has no one to help him except for Theodore. And Theodore was also hurt by the fact that nobody will understand him. Nobody understand the mistreatment he dealt through. Everyone looked around. Maybe it's time to go home. Maybe it's time for them and the others to go home. Everyone has dealt enough. Jet and Theodore didn't have to do this, but I guess they need to be heard. But Jet didn't want to go home. If he did, that means he's leaving his little brother. And Theodore didn't want to go home either. He just want to be known for something and not for nothing. He doesn't want to get separated by Jet, who's the only friend he has. So they decided to do something. Jet and Theodore decided to execute themselves. This was the only way Jet wanted to be with his little brother, and Tozu wanted to be with Jet. As a promise, Jet will release a radar that sends an SOS to rescue the rest of the survivors. As for now, Jet and Theodore had their final goodbyes. And with that, Theodore Tozu Xander and Jet Dawson has been executed. The game is over. Ulysses, Winona, Wolfgang, Toshiko, Ava, Kara, and Desmond left the trial room. They found the radar, just like what Jet said. Pressing the button, help was on the way. And they're going home. They all headed towards the shore. The same shore that Toshiko faked her death. Looking at the sunset and seeing a few helicopters coming by. They all looked back. All 7 of them are on the shore. They wish that everything would have turned out differently, but then again, how can they change a thing? For those who have died, Jet and Tozu, nobody deserved this kind of reality, but they don't need to reach their own expectations. But at least it's finally over. At least the story is already over. The game ends with 7 people survived. This concludes the finale and the end of Project Eden's Garden Wheel of Fate. Thank you for following this journey.